Yeah. So there's an intro story, and I've been going over a little bit each stream. Um, so let me just see here. Yeah, so last we left off, there was a plague that had ruined a bunch. This is like hundreds of years before the game starts and stuff like that. But yeah, basically a bunch of smugglers and other guys started kind of hitting up Flan and trying to take over Flan itself. And things were looking bad for our fair city. So, when this was all going on, may I see the cover? Yes. I mean, this is like the old book that has all these in it and stuff like that. I couldn't find Thick with two C's, yes. I couldn't find most of the other ones that were individually based, but, still have this at least. During this activity, Ramon, now old in the ways that only wizards can be, disappeared from his rocky abode. What became of Ramon is unknown, for the rulers of Flan had not sought his counsel for a generation. Some say he became a lich, using the methods discovered by Xanakar. Others say that he sacrificed himself in battle in a far distant plane in order to save Flan. Still others state that he had found the pool of Radiance, and became a great and powerful being in some other part of the realms. Most likely, Ramon merely fell prey to the effects of old age, as all mortals do. Whatever the cause, Ramon was never seen again in the realms, and his citadel became a haunted, abandoned ruin within a decade. The famine of the red plants passed after 3 seasons, and an abundant harvest returned to Flan. But the harvests were never to be as great as before, nor the fruit from the orchards as sweet. Whatever magic, true or imagined, that had re-established Flan had passed. The city began to become gray and ordinary, losing power to the keepers and the men of Mulemaster. The Golden Age was over. The Valhaevo princes, their blood thin indeed, continued for another century. The century was filled with petty wars between various city-states. No longer the leading city of the Moonsea, Flan battled with its rival more often. Piracy, or rather privateering, was on the rise, a situation that continues to this day among the city-states. Flan was racked by interior torments as well. The people of the city were well aware of their loss of power and prestige. Farms north of Flan were now being abandoned. Dark shadows lurked between the massive trunks of the trees of the quivering forest. An attempt to clear a path through that growth in 2023 DR resulted in the death of the last surviving Great Prince of the Valhaevo family. The death of the Great Prince resulted in a 3-year civil war within the city, as various factions supported different candidates to take the mantle of the Great Prince. All candidates' claims upon the royal blood were questionable, and every faction sought to control Flan's future through placing their choice in the crown. During this time, the great temple of Tyr was looted and burned, leaving only a blackened shell. Many of the leading merchant families fled to other climates. In the end, the last survivor was a young noble, supported by a group of powerful merchants. They created the first Council of Flan to act as regents for the youth. The council spoiled the child, who grew into a spoiled man who was unable and unwilling to take the reins of power. He died without issue 40 years later, and the council has ruled ever since then. Next up will be the fall, the true fall of Flan.